57% say North Carolina A&T. 43% say Alcorn State.
Alcorn State.
79% say Arizona's gonna win. 21% say New Mexico.
Arizona.
83% say Utah. And 17% says Brigham Young.
I'm going Utah because they were ranked like number 3 earlier in the season. So yeah, Utah.
A whopping 76% says Appalachian State is gonna win. And only 24% say Ohio is gonna win. What do you think?
A whopping.
That's a whopping.
I like that. Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to go with Appalachian because they probably have more black players.
I like that reasoning. The next up is Cure Bowl. 65% say Georgia State. Only 35% say San Jose State.
San Jose State.
57% say Arkansas State. And 43% say Louisiana Tech.
Louisiana Tech.
Louisiana Tech.
Yeah.
83% say Western Kentucky. And only 17% says South Florida.
Western Kentucky.
46% of people say the Akron Zips. And 46% say Utah State.
Utah State.
83% of people are going to go for Temple, the Owls, as you will. And only 17% says Toledo
Rockets.
69% of people say Boise State. 31% of people say Northern Illinois.
Give me Boise, the boys in blue.
83% of people say Bowling Green. And 12% only says Georgia Southern.
Bowling Green. Georgia Southern, name one player on their team.
65% says Western Michigan. And only 35% of people say it's going to be Middle Tennessee.
Western Michigan.
72% says San Diego State's going to win, and 28% says Cincinnati.
San Diego State, because Cincinnati won't have their starting quarterback. So I don't see how they're going to win that game.
84% of people say Marshall, and 16% of people say Connecticut.
Marshall.
52% says Miami, and 48% says Washington State.
Give me the U.
51% of people say Southern Miss, and 49% says Washington.
Washington.
66% of people calling it for Duke, and 34% of people saying Indiana.
Duke.
88% of people say that Virginia Tech is going to take this, with only 12% of people saying it's going to be Tulsa.
Definitely Virginia Tech.
88% of people going for UCLA. Good old Bruins. We have 12% of people going for Nebraska.
Whoever's playing against Nebraska.
Woo. 85% of people saying Navy's going to take it, and only 15% of people say Pittsburgh.
Navy's going to win. Keenan Reynolds gets like 3 touchdowns and they win the game.
50% of people are calling it Minnesota, and the other half, people said 50% is Central Michigan.
Central Michigan, Mac gets the W.
67% going with California Golden Bears. And 33% of people are going for Air Force, the Falcons.
I'm going with Cal.
72% of people say North Carolina is going to take it, and only 28% say the Baylor Bears.
I gotta go with Baylor.
Colorado State versus Nevada.
Colorado State, final answer.
91%, this is a little bit of a landslide, say LSU, and 9% says Texas Tech.
LSU.
66% says Memphis Tigers, and 34% says Auburn Tigers.
I think somehow the Auburn Tigers will take it.
86% say Mississippi State is going to take it, and 14% says North Carolina State.
Mississippi State.
You seem pretty sure of that. 81% says Texas A&M is going to take it, And 19% says Louisville. Who do you think it's going to be?
A&M.
57% says USC is going to take it. And 43% says Wisconsin. 73% of people going for Florida State. And 27% going for Houston.
Florida State.
54% says the Clemson Tigers. Over 46% Oklahoma, the Sooners.
Yeah, I'm going with Clemson. I think Clemson will win that game and be in the national championship. So Clemson over Oklahoma.
Alabama, 71%. Michigan State, 29%. Who do you think it's going to be?
You know, everybody's counting Michigan State out of this game. For, you know, reasons I understand. But Alabama really, I mean, they don't really have a passing game, honestly. Michigan State can kind of do both, and they have a really good defense.
So who's it going to be, sir?
I want to say Alabama, but I think the Big Ten is going to show them again that they're more than they expected, and I think Michigan State's going to win.
62% of people say Northwestern's going to win, and 38% says Tennessee.
I go with Northwestern because that defense looked really good early on in the season, and I just think that they can do something special here coming in the next few years. 75%
of people say Michigan is going to take it, and 25% of people say Florida.
Michigan.
76% of people going for the Ohio State, the Buckeyes. 24% are going for Notre Dame.
Ohio State. Notre Dame.
You gotta go with Ohio.
Talks all this mess about Notre Dame every year, and we see every year that Notre Dame cannot compete with the elite competition.
62% of people going for Stanford, and 38% of people going for Iowa.
Stanford, man, I think Christian McCaffrey is arguably, to me, I thought he should have won the Heisman, honestly.
51% of people saying Ole Miss, the Rebels, and 49% of people saying Oklahoma State.
Like, I think that would be one of the best games of the bowl season this year. But I gotta go Ole Miss just because Kelly over there, and they have like all the receivers are like 6'5". Like, they have some tall guys who can really catch the ball. Laquan Treadwell, probably the best receiver in college right now. So definitely going Ole Miss. Can DJ, both of them. I think Ole Miss gets the victory. 81%
of people are going to go for the Georgia Bulldogs, and 19% of people say Penn State.
Give me Georgia.
85% of people going for Arkansas, and only 15% of people going for Kansas State.
I'm going to go Arkansas on this one.
58% of people going for TCU, and 42% of people going for Oregon. A little bit close, but who do you think it's going to be?
I got to go TCU because as long as Trayvon Boykin is playing, they're going to win.
58% of people say West Virginia. 42% of people say Arizona State.
Arizona State.
58% say winner of Cotton Bowl. 42% says winner of Orange Bowl.
Clemson will end the season #1. Deshaun Watson, MVP. Clemson, national champions. Big Ten, get there for the second straight year, but they don't get the victory. Michigan State loses by like 10 points maybe, but Clemson will get the victory.
Cheers.